What's going on, everybody? RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com. Hope all is well wherever you are. Hope you're happy, safe, healthy, and that this incredible weekend of sporting action has begun the way you wanted it to. I know a lot of people, myself included, have been talking about this weekend for some time now and how just full it is from a sporting perspective. Right now, the Ryder Cup going on is a Friday afternoon. I'm a big golf fan. I cover golf here at SB Nation as well when the Cowboys aren't keeping me busy. That's obviously never, but I love golf. Tonight, Friday night, Arizona State, my Sun Devils taking on TCU wearing the blackout uniforms. It's going to be amazing. We've got more Ryder Cup action across the weekend. We've got Alabama, Georgia. We've got Oregon, Penn State. We've got the final weekend of Major League Baseball's regular season with all sorts of playoff spots up for grabs. My Houston Astros keeping me on my toes. I'm serious. Like, my emotional energy is going to be spent by the time this weekend is over. And that doesn't even include Sunday when I've got all my fantasy players going and we all got to wake up early to watch the Vikings and Steelers in Dublin. I mean, goodness gracious. And then we get Eagles, Bucks, obviously rooting for Tampa Bay. We get Chiefs, Ravens, and one of those teams is going to fall to 1-3. And then finally, at the end of this marathon, Sunday Night Football, our Dallas Cowboys, who we love and who we love to hate, host the Green Bay Packers, which already was going to be an amazing game, but you factor in the return of Micah Parsons, and it makes everything feel, amplified by an exponential factor of 10. I don't know why I struggle with that word. But that being said, I hope that your teams are doing well, unless they are, let me see here. My Florida Gators are off this week, but unless you are a TCU fan, which is highly possible given, who the Cowboys are, unless you're European, unless you are a Angels fan, that's who my Astros are playing, or unless you are a Guardians fan, I need the Texas Rangers to help on out. And then don't exactly know quite yet how we're going to need the Tigers-Red Sox series to break. So if you're a fan of either one of those two teams, you're not on the list quite yet. I love it. I love this time of year because we've got so much going on, and I love when we have a big Cowboys game for us to kind of put all of our emotional energy into. Obviously, we'll get there throughout this weekend, as mentioned, but this is a big game, and this is a big weekend, and this is a big moment. I mean, if the Cowboys lose this game, they're going to fall to 1-3. Only one team in Dallas Cowboys franchise history has made the playoffs with a 1-3 record or worse. So you're talking about losing this game would, not be cementing anything, but would be making things rather difficult. I mean, you would literally be fighting almost nothing but history. And it's a different NFL world now. There's 17 regular season games. Like, you can pull anything off that you hadn't in the past before. But if the Cowboys are to lose this game on Sunday, from a mathematical standpoint, from a mathematical perspective, it makes making the playoffs very difficult. And you might be rolling your eyes and laughing, saying, playoffs? I gave up on that a long time ago. Look, we're going to go through this thing week by week. And the reality is, if the Cowboys fall to 1-3, it puts them a little bit behind the proverbial 8-ball. And so that underscores how important this game is. And it doesn't help that right now they are massive underdogs. The Cowboys are, depending on exactly where you look, almost a touchdown underdog at home in their own building. Obviously, beyond the fact that Green Bay is a very good team, they're missing 2 offensive linemen, CeeDee Lamb. They're still not all the way back healthy on defense. Their defense doesn't look great as is. I mean, if the Cowboys are going to win this game, if that ultimately were to happen, if we look back, I mean, it's going to be because some crazy crap happened. It's going to be a miracle upon miracles, and it's going to be the kind of game and kind of experience, again, if the Cowboys win it, that really just makes people believe that anything is possible. And that's obviously why we love sports. I'm picking the Packers. I don't know if that's obvious. I'm going to pick the Packers. I want the Cowboys to win. I think that goes without saying, but I am going to pick the Packers. I don't think that any of us can logically pick the Cowboys. You can certainly make an argument that Green Bay's offensive line is weakened, and I know Justice Mosqueda made that argument or made that point in my discussion with him, and I appreciate Justice for the time, obviously. I'm looking forward to talking with Jake Assman next week. In anticipation of what the Cowboys are going to do in week 5. But so, okay, great. But I there's a lot of sniping happening with the Cowboys right now on social media. I mean, everyone's coming for them. And, when the Zach Tom news came out, I tweeted something about it, and all the replies, all my mentions were like, who cares? Like, this isn't going to make, one shred of a difference. And right now, that's kind of the territory the Cowboys are in. Right now, the Cowboys have to prove everyone wrong, I think, before anyone trusts them. And I don't know whose fault that is. I don't think it's Brian Schottenheimer's fault. I don't think it's Dak Prescott's fault. I don't even think it's Matt Eberflus's fault. I think it's just I think this whole thing was on such a shaky foundation for a lot of reasons, and has been since the last time the Packers were in this building for a game against this team, that any moment of reprieve that we have felt, like think about it, since January of 2024, when the Packers beat the Cowboys in the wild card round, any moment of solace, any moment of reprieve from a Cowboys perspective, from a Cowboys fan perspective, was handed out with the shortest leash possible, right? Like anything they did, any win they had, any moment of positivity they garnered, we said, okay, we're going to trust you a little bit here, but we're going to bet that you're going to do something to kind of make us regret this. And slowly but surely that kind of tends to always happen. And recently it was, man, you beat the Giants, you have this amazing, crazy, theatrical, last second win, Brandon Aubrey 64 yards. Okay, let's do it. Go beat the Bears, go beat a bad team, at least what we think is a bad team, get to 2-1 so that you can survive if you lose to Green Bay. And they go and they not only not win, but they get completely and totally embarrassed and breathe life into an offense that didn't have any in it. And the one they breathed life into the week before looked lifeless, just 7 days later. So, I mean, it is a matter of, I think we're all extraordinarily sensitive. So anytime there's any remote sort of trigger around the Cowboys, we act out. We don't know how to handle it. We don't know how to process it. And again, I think that that's existed for a very long time, but that's existed in a very, very unique way since the Packers of all teams were at AT&T Stadium last, which is why this game on Sunday feels in the worst possible way like a full circle sort of thing. Now, I will say I am excited for this game to be over because it has been 4 weeks and a day at the time of this recording since the Cowboys traded Micah Parsons to the Packers. And in the moment it happened, obviously there were a lot of emotions and there were a lot of thoughts and there were a lot of takeaways and there were a lot of, X's and Y's and Z's. But ultimately it was a matter of, well, they got to play him, right? Like, whenever you trade a player, certainly you trade a player of Micah's caliber away, you hope you never have to play him and you never have to have that reckoning. And we knew right away, the moment of the trade, we knew that it was going to happen in a month's time. And so here we are. And so I do think that even if the Cowboys lose, even if the Cowboys fall to 1-3, obviously none of us prefer that this is the potential or future case. But if that were to happen, I do think that there will be a collective right, like there will be a collective on Monday morning, however this game ultimately goes, like, okay, that part is over, right? Like all of that stuff is now officially behind. There's definitely someone in your life, maybe you yourself, who has said, I don't even want to talk about Mike anymore, I don't want to whatever anymore, I'm ready to move on. And that is fine. You can totally have that perspective and have that opinion and whatnot. But the reality of the situation, the moment the trade was executed, was that it was always going to lead to this game. And again, I say always, but it's only been 4 weeks. And so when this game is over, there's no more thing on the calendar. There's no more thing. The root canal is done, and you can just live with your teeth the way that they're taken care of afterwards or whatever. And so when this game is over, even if the Cowboys lose, I do think there is a sense of relief that is applicable to it from the perspective of, okay, it's finally over and everyone can just move on. And whatever happens next, great. But this part, this root canal, that process, that procedure is complete, and we can finally put it in its proper place and go the direction that we need to go. And so I will feel relief. I will feel some semblance of on Monday morning. Obviously, I hope it's in relation to a Cowboys win, because if the Cowboys win their next game, which is obviously Sunday, then they put themselves in a position to, whatever. Like you think about the next few games for the Cowboys. Obviously, on Sunday, they host the Green Bay Packers, and then they're back on the road. The Cowboys are for 2 weeks. They'll visit the New York Jets. I mentioned next week, going to talk to my buddy Jake Assman, and then they'll visit the Carolina Panthers, who I know looked resurgent last week against Atlanta. And then they host the Washington Commanders. Who knows what they're looking like, although I would pencil that as a loss at this moment in time. At Denver, the Broncos have been throwing games away lately this season. And the Cardinals, even though I picked them to win the NFC West, I don't quite regret that for reasons in terms of evaluating the Cardinals. I regret it because the NFC West just looks loaded again. My point is the Cardinals don't look super stout. I mean, you get through this with a win. That's obviously the best case scenario. I think you feel like you can do anything. I think you feel like you can fly as high as possible. I think if you get through this and you just don't look like fools, if you don't look like you did against Chicago, I think you still feel like, hey, we're 1-3, but we can do this. We can pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and get back on the horse and finish this right out. And so I'm predicting a loss. I do think it will be, the word close is subjective and vague, but I think it will be within one possession, maybe within 10 points for most of the game. And then I think there will just be a time where, they pull away. I know I've been saying in different places this week that it's going to be this blowout. I don't think it'll be a blowout. I really don't. Some of that is Green Bay is beaten up, but I think there will be moments that make it feel like a blowout, and there will probably be a Micah moment or two or several. But ultimately, I think it's 7 to 10 points for the majority of the contest, and then there's just something that happens, whether that's an explosive play from the Packers offense, or a pick six, or a fumble, or a strip sack, or something like that Green Bay takes back to the house. Like, that's the worst possible case scenario, is that it's a Green Bay 10-point lead with 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter. We're all kind of saying, okay, you go score here, you make it a one possession game, and you can maybe get the ball back and go down and tie or win. And then Micah has a strip sack, and he picks the ball up and runs it in the end zone and puts the exclamation point on the game himself. That's the worst possible way this ends. But at least it ends, and at least it's over. And that's ultimately what I think we're all the most excited about. So I hope all of your teams do wonderfully this weekend. Again, unless they contradict with my plans and my hopes and my dreams and my ambitions. If that's the case, if you have a team that opposes what I want, then I hope you lose, and I hope you're sad, but only in a sports way. I hope health, wealth, and happiness for you outside of that. My name is RJ Ochoa. As mentioned, you can follow me on X, Instagram, and Threads at RJ Ochoa. TikTok is rj.ochoa. rj.ochoa at sbnation.com is how you email me if that is more your thing. Let's see how this goes. Look, however it goes, this is a great sports weekend, and I love weekends, even when there aren't things like the Ryder Cup and Major League Baseball's regular season ending and college football and all this stuff. I love weekends. I love Sundays where the Cowboys play on Sunday Night Football. I told Scott Hansen this, where you just get to hang out with Scott. You get to root for your fantasy players. You get to watch the Red Zone all day, and then you sit up in your chair and you lock in. You get ready for Sunday Night Football. So that's what we get for the first time this season. Obviously, they had the Thursday night game, but you get my point. Okay. Let's go ahead and get out of here. Thanks much, everybody, for hanging out. Next episode in your channel will be, or this channel in your feed will be Dallas Cowboys in Espanol, where I'll offer my 3 predictions for the game, obviously in Spanish. And then the next time we will see one another will be on Sunday night for our live post-game show. So like the video, subscribe to the channel, and have yourself a wonderful day. You know why? Because you deserve it. Thanks so much for hanging out, everybody, and we will see you next time.